Brett, how much money have you made from YouTube?
So from YouTube, my businesses have made $5 million in the last like 2.5 years directly from my channel.
Why did you choose YouTube as the platform to actually market your businesses with?
There's a study by Google. It's the 7-11-4 rule. Basically, people need to see 7 hours of your content, 11 different pieces of content on 4 different touch points. And so a 30-second reel is not even close to 7 hours, and it's not chipping away at it. But if I can get 10 minutes here, 20 minutes here on YouTube, over the course of a year, if they get that full 7 hours, these people will literally buy anything from me for life. And so it's building up that trust, and it's actually a way for you to like help people. People go onto YouTube when they're ready to learn something, and they're in the mindset of growth and wanting to better themselves. And so as an educational YouTuber, you're not only building that trust over time, but you're actually able to genuinely help these people's lives and help them change beliefs, go on a better path, or see opportunities that they didn't see before. And for that, they'll show a lot of gratitude and they'll support your business. And obviously, if you make content for a specific set of people and then you offer a product for those set of people, it just makes much more sense as a strategy.
From what you see, like at this point, you've clearly done this successfully. Where are most people just really dropping the ball when it comes to creating content and developing that 7-hour touch?
I think most people need to understand that it's about, if you're making content, who are you helping and how are you helping them? Like, why would someone watch this video and how is it useful for them? At what stage are they at right now? And then where are you taking them?
I heard someone say the best person to make content for is the person who you wanted to learn from, or things that you needed years before in the past. So you're making content for your previous self. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you would kind of recommend?
I don't think of it like that, right?
Okay.
Like, I'm not like looking at my past self, like how can I help you? I'm looking at like future opportunities with new technologies that have entered the world, with my understanding of other business models, how I'm seeing things, how can I combine these 3 pieces and show people a new path that's opening and guide them to that path. And so that's more of just like, it's like more conscious strategy of like what is trending in the market right now, what is new, and where's an edge if you're on the bleeding edge of this, and then like kind of showing people where that's going.
That's kind of interesting, man. So you're talking about identifying new trends and then capitalizing on that with the knowledge that you've already received.
Yeah, so you need to view YouTube. Like, YouTube is a game. Like, I literally view it like a video game, right? And attention is the currency. Those are the points you're trying to earn. And so you want people's attention. And so you need to be as conscious as possible of all the different variables and skills that it takes that are required to capture attention and then convert that into money for your business. And so that's all based on what your business is firsthand and then how broad you're trying to make content to attract the widest net possible of people. And so with content, like every keyword on YouTube, there's a certain amount of search volume. So like, let's say the word SaaS has 3 million people, okay? 3 million people are searching that. And then you look at the top 10 videos on SaaS that week, and you see that the best videos are getting 200,000 to 300,000 views. The top 3 are each getting around a few 100,000 views. And that's kind of the full liquidity of that search volume that week. So the amount of attention you can capture is up to 3 million views. And if you make the best video on this topic this month, you could get up to 400,000 views, okay? And then if you make the right video and you capture the right amount of attention, you can offer them into a full-blown SaaS course and then monetize that through like a $200 to $300 course, okay? So that is like the lens you need to look at it. I see a lot of people looking at YouTube like they just want to make personal brand content and they're going to make a video and they're like, why isn't this getting 100,000 views? But it's because they made a video on a social media marketing agency that's in the title, and objectively only 10,000 people are interested in social media marketing agencies. So YouTube has gotten so good at serving your content to people who have very niche interests and want to see that. So the biggest cap is how big of the market you're playing in and how much liquidity there is with the audience.
That's interesting. It's like you're basically saying there's a market cap for whatever kind of content you're making.
Yes, because it's not like who's going to be interested in software content that hasn't been watching software content, you know? Like a random person is not going to be interested in the word SaaS if they've never even heard the word SaaS. And so there's like, you can game it like with your titles and your packaging, and where you can basically essentially like keep it really broad. So like if my best example is the newsletter video that I have. I'd never made a newsletter video on my channel before. None of my audience is newsletter based, but when I posted it, it was a 1 out of 10 and it got like 200,000 views right away. And this is mainly because the title was a 1-person business you can start today. And the thumbnail was just me on my computer, like with a crazy expression. And so if I put a newsletter business you can start today, I immediately cut out every person in the world that isn't specifically looking for newsletters. And so me having that context in the packaging opens up the audience potential to like 30 million people instead of just 3 million people. Okay, now that I have them in the video, let's say they got clicked into it. If the very first sentence I said was, I'm gonna show you guys how to start a newsletter today, everyone's gone because they've already heard about a newsletter. They've already made the decision that newsletters aren't interesting. They don't think newsletters are a new way to make money. They have all these preconceived beliefs. And so it's really important that when you start a video, you're meeting people where the expectation was set with the title and thumbnail. And so when I'm saying it's a one-person business you need to start today, the first 3 or 4 minutes of this video, I am not saying the word newsletter, and I'm only talking about all the benefits, how much money you can make from this new opportunity, and kind of like egging them on in a way about what the opportunity is. Then I hit them with the newsletter 2 or 3 minutes into it, and then from there, I want to objection handle. So I'm like, it's actually a new way to do it. This has never been possible before. Then I talk to all the future tech trends that I was referencing earlier of how you can actually apply newsletter in the most modern way to do it.
And I like how you said, like, I objection handle in the beginning. And you mentioned something earlier when we were speaking about even the title can be an objection handler for the thumbnail. So the thumbnail's kind of like to gauge you like kind of some kind of interest, and then the title is to overcome that objection, and then you're overcoming objections in the beginning of the YouTube video itself.
Yeah, I don't think people understand how important language is. Like, one word can tell you like 3 sentences of information if it's used in the right order. And so the difference between that video getting 100,000 views and that video getting 10,000 views in the first day is literally me putting a one-person business or a newsletter business. That one word in my title is objectively the difference, no matter how good the video is objectively the difference between 1 million people being interested and 100,000 people being interested, and then the rest clicking through. And so that is like one of the most important subtleties of content is I see like people, literally a kid yesterday randomly texted me, he's a drop shipping YouTuber. He gets 10,000, maybe 20,000 views per video, which is pretty standard in drop shipping since it's such a mature market. And so he asked me like, how could I get 100,000 views on this video? What is the difference? And I read his script, and literally the only difference is how he's framing it. And so the video was this new AI tool that will let you copy any Shopify store. Like if you see a Shopify store, you just click this tool and it will build you the entire store with the product and everything. And so what he did in the very first sentence, this is how he spoke to the audience. He's like, what if I told you there was a way to copy any e-commerce store page in a matter of 30 seconds? Okay, well now you need to know what an e-commerce store page is. You don't even know if it's 30 seconds fast or slow. And so in his first sentence, his paragraph, his first hook, he's cutting out millions of people and only allowing this because 20,000 people have that context. Only 20,000 people have that context of what a store page is, what a Shopify e-commerce store is, and if 30 seconds is fast. And so all you need to do is change the frame. The rest of the video will be the exact same, but change the frame of like, everyone knows that making physical products is the great way to make money online. But the hardest part is knowing what product to sell because you don't know if it's popular. Well, what if I told you you could go to any Shopify store, see how many sales they're doing, and in one click of a button, copy their store? Now, this might be illegal, so stick around or whatever to find out if this is actually something that you can do, because I tried the tool myself, got my first sale, and I'm gonna show you exactly how you can do this to make your first $10,000 online. You can not only get value out of that if you know what Shopify is, if you know what dropshipping is, that hook still applies. But that one sentence at the very beginning, everyone knows that selling physical products is a great way to make money online. And then going through the problem and then saying how we're going to solve that applies to both broad people and your core Shopify audience. And so that is literally that is the only difference is the context in which you're speaking to this person and the assumptions that you're making with the knowledge level that they're at. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
100%. So one of the, because we've been talking for a little while now, one of the interesting things that we've gone over is how, okay, you can play the view game. The view game is going to get you views,
right?
But it's going to get you a broad audience. Or you can go in with that super specific hook, cut out 90% of the market, but now those views are actually worth money. Those are like, that's a solid amount of audience that is probably going to convert.
Right.
So I guess my question for you is, do you think most people should, when they're starting, should they go for views or should they try to narrow down on who's actually going to buy from them?
It is so subjective based on the person's goals and what your business is, right? Yeah. Like if you make a course on how to code, then you just make every YouTube video a 30 minutes to an hour-long course on how to code, and it's like entry-level coding stuff, and then you have a 20-hour course to take people from, basically your YouTube channel takes them from 0 to 1, and then your course takes them from like 1 to 100, okay? So you're just doing technical trainings, and you're okay with 5,000, 10,000 views because you can sell this course for $1,000. Because once they learn how to code, they can make 120 grand, $300,000 a year at a tech job. Okay. The other side of this is Mr. Beast. He can get billions of views, literally billions of views, but he can only sell a $1 chocolate bar because people are just there for entertainment, and they're all different. And so he can't like create some valuable product that was actually going to impact their life or make them money. So he gets like half a cent per view, maybe at most, where these coding people can literally make $10 per view if you look at it that way. And so it comes down to your YouTube strategy. So for me, I wanted to do personal brand coaching. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna start making personal brand content. Well, then I make a personal brand video on my channel. I know my content is good. I know everything it takes to make a video that gets 500,000 views, but the market cap for personal brand content is small on YouTube. And so, okay, then I'm like, well, that's fine, because these people are gonna pay me 5 to 10 grand for coaching directly. That's a lot of money. I'd only need 10,000 views and I can still make millions of dollars. Well, the problem for me, so that would be the strategy, right? Like that would make sense. Okay, be fine with 10,000 views for personal brand. Well, the nuances here is that I am selling myself as the expert at personal brand. I'm gonna teach you how to get hundreds of thousands of views, but then you look at my channel and it only has 10,000 views per video. And so the strategy starts to hurt itself, because it's like, even though I'm making the best video possible and getting the maximum views based off this search term and the liquidity and the attention market there, even if I make the best video possible, I only get 10 or 20,000 views. That's a win internally, but the perception of people outside who want my coaching are gonna use that vanity metric against me in their buying decision. And so this is how you need to be thinking about the strategy. And so the strategy has evolved where it's, okay, I have to play the view game, and then I need to point to that external success where I get 100 to 200,000 views per video, be like, I can teach you exactly how to do it. Look, I'm doing it right now, so you can trust me. How do I get that offer in front of them? I can run YouTube ads on my videos beforehand. And so that was like it took me like a month to figure this out, get the data, and to make this decision. But that is how you need to be thinking about your strategy for content. Like, you start with your product, then you have a content strategy around that, and then if you want to play at a very high level, you can start making multiple strategies on different channels. So like, if you wanted to cast a wide net, you could make vlogs. And so I have one coaching student who does like travel videos. So he has one channel where it's like credit card points, and then he has one channel where it's travel, how he travels for free from those credit card points. And so the system that we've created now for him is to do 2 separate channels, where one channel is meant to get like 200, 300,000 views per video of like first-class experiences. So it's kind of like I traveled on the most expensive flight in the world for 72 hours or whatever it is. And then he's showing this like luxurious side, and then in the middle he's like, by the way, I paid for this flight using credit card points. If you want to fly for free, go check out this video. And that video is linked to a new channel where he's teaching people all about credit card points, and it's basically an affiliate business model for signing up for credit cards. And so the way YouTube works now is your format has to be consistent on each channel. And so I used to be able to make a 10-minute SaaS video, then a 2-hour-long podcast, and then a 30-minute marketing video, and it would work. Now YouTube really wants each channel to be hyper-specific, like TV back in the day, Comedy Central was comedy shows, Discovery was nature shows, history was history. Like, it's not mixing. And so YouTube needs to be treated that way. And so if you want to play the game for views, you just need to consciously make a format that you know will appeal to a broad audience and can get the 200,000 views, like luxury first-class experiences or luxury cruise ship, what a $10,000 per night cruise ship looks like. That's going to appeal to anybody who's even considered going on a cruise. And then funneling them down to another channel that's more technical, all the different ways to get credit cards. What are the best credit cards? How do you use the points? All of that, and then sell them into your product. And so it's that conscious intent with the strategy, and knowing that even though 300,000 people are not going to be interested in credit card points, it's still a wide net. It's still letting people know that you can do this and it's possible, and it could actually like create more people that are interested in that down the line, and also people who are interested on that now know that you have a channel that exists for that. So when you think of YouTube strategy, it needs to be, I call it a content thesis, is basically what I just described. Is what is the thesis behind this content? Why would it be interesting to people? Is it attracting the right people that are going to be interested in my product? Okay, if so, here's how we convey it on the channel. Here's where we send them to convert them.
So we're building YouTube as a funnel to get money to our business, but now we have to build multiple channels to funnel to our core channel, so then we can funnel them to our business.
That's just where you get if you look at Iman. So I like study everybody on YouTube all the time. Yeah. If you look at Iman, a year ago, he was getting 1 million views per video.
Right.
And then he would post a vlog, 1 million views. He would post a 10-minute educational video, 1 million views. Now his strategy's kind of changed. Now his main channel is just 10-minute videos where it's like the 7 principles to make your first $1 million. But then he also has a vlog channel. And if you look, his vlog channel is actually getting more views than his main channel right now. So his views didn't go down, they just spread out. And so now he has the vlog channel that's getting the most views. He has his 10 principles video, which is like giving them the right mindset to make money. And then he has Iman Gadzhi Extended, which is actually teaching people SMMA, which is flack he got in the past. But I also think he realized that he needs to nurture people further before selling them into his course. And so he has this like 3-channel system where it's, okay, if you like the lifestyle stuff, lifestyle vlogs, he has all these nice cars, super appealing to a lot of people. That can get millions of views.
100%.
So that's the wide net, lets people know who he is. Then once these people are like, I want to live like him, they go to his main channel, where it's like 7 principles to make your first $1 million, where it's like mindset to make money, which is still pretty broad, still get 500,000 views. But then his sales engine, his business, is selling courses. And so then he can send you down to a VSL on that channel, which is teaching you all about SMMA, and you can follow that channel consistently to get more tangible advice that will actually add impact. And so he'll make way more money per view on that channel, but it could all start with the vlog channel on his main channel. And then obviously he has Big Day and these other companies that the vlog channel would be a better match for his energy drink company. And then his main channel could be a better match for his glasses, because that's only a $20, $30 product. But if you're learning how to make money, you want blue light blockers. And so he's found these channels, vlog to Big Day, main channel to glasses, extended to $3,000 course or whatever it is, but they also can all trickle down into each other. And that's just the way YouTube's working. He used to be able to do all of this on one channel, and it would find that YouTube would take your vlog and find the vlog people on the same channel. Now they're punishing you if you're crossing formats because they want to give more smaller channels opportunities. And so you have to perform at the same level on your channel, or else they'll view it as an underperforming video if you're not hitting your consistent average on your channel for like click-through rate and AVD. That's at least how I perceive it.
I am looking for entrepreneurs who want to grow their business through YouTube. I have grown from 0 to 450,000 subscribers in just 2.5 years. But what I learned in the process was the content that got me to 10,000 subscribers was completely different than the content that got me to 100,000 subscribers. When I started out, I was doing everything alone. I would just pick up a camera, hit record, and post. But to get to 500,000 subscribers, I had to bring on a team of experts. Now I can lean on the experience of experts who flat out know what works and what doesn't. It helps me make way more quality content much more quickly. So if you want to surround yourself with YouTube professionals and work with me directly, I have decided to offer ongoing content coaching for a small group of 30-ish entrepreneurs. We will give you hands-on support with your strategy, your ideas, your titles, thumbnails, script writing, and more. So if you want help making long-form content that consistently gets 100,000 plus views and actually turn those views into customers, click the link directly below this video and fill out an application.
Damn. Yeah, it's so crazy, bro. Because like when you were first telling us all this info, it was just like so mind blowing to me. Because the way that I saw YouTube is just not even close to reality. I'm assuming most people are the exact same way. Mm-hmm. They're thinking, okay, I have to post a little bit of this, a little bit of that, throw it all on one channel. Whatever hits, I'm just gonna do more of it. Mm-hmm. Like literally. Yeah. Just like throw shit at the wall, see what sticks. But it seems like the people that are winning, they're winning calculated. They're winning for a reason.
100%.
And like you said, with the content thesis, adding everything in, making sure that you know who you're trying to target, looking at that market cap, seeing what the actual goal is of everything, and then creating a strategy backwards behind that. Mm-hmm. That's really where it's at now.
Yeah, it's too competitive now.
Yeah.
Like I view it as a competitive sport, like a professional sport. Like attention is a scarce asset, and you can't just, it's gone are the days where Casey Neistat can just make a vlog every day and everyone on YouTube is going to see it just because he's getting the numbers, For sure. Now it's like they're serving niche content to niche interests, and you are competing with everyone making content in that niche, and so you have to be dialed in with your intent, basically.
Okay, so this is now like the new way of doing things. YouTube's honing down; they're serving everyone very niche content.
Brand new. It just changed. They changed their algorithm from basically if you had a large following, the video would get indexed into all of the videos. So if I made a newsletter video, even though I never made newsletter videos on my channel before, I can make a newsletter video and it would get indexed for that search term, and everyone can find it. But then my core audience would watch it, and that would give me a compounding benefit when they're comparing against other newsletter videos. Does that make sense?
100%.
But now they're taking your core audience's performance first, and then having a channel average. So if you usually get a 5% click-through rate and 3-minute AVD, if you get below that, they're not going to index it with newsletters. They're just going to view this as a bad video in general. That is not like law, but that is at least how I've been thinking about it. And since I've changed my strategy based off that, my channel's grown a lot recently. And I was in a really low lull at one point. That happens.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, got it. And
It's brand new.
Yeah, it's brand new, 100%. Gotcha.
But that's good for new creators, and that gives you confidence for your own channel if you're making a new channel. Because if you know how to make good content, then you know how to go viral. You know how to get 100,000 views if you're following everything I've discussed in this. Jordan Welch just made a new channel called Jay Welch. So Jordan Welch has like 1.5 million, maybe almost 2 million subscribers by now on his main channel. And he'll do man on the street interviews. He'll tell people stories of how they made money, or he'll do some like challenges. So it's much broader audience, but it's very high production, takes a lot of time to do, and it's just high effort. And so he made a second channel where he's just sharing his actual genuine business advice. And that first video on that channel got more views than his last video on his main channel. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Mainly, he did a really good job of framing himself. He was sitting on like this super nice balcony with an infinity pool in like Italy, talking about how he made a lot of money. He used a lot of psychology principles at the very beginning of the video. But at the end of the day, YouTube still recognized that it was his face and it was Jordan Welch. And so even though he had no subscribers on the channel, it still got sent to everyone who follows his main channel. YouTube figured that out through their algorithm on the back end. And so if you have a well-known established brand, making new channels, you will still get the benefit of that. Or if you're completely starting out, they're giving you an opportunity to get in front of people. And if you make truly great content, you will get 1 million views on your first video.
For sure. So, okay, one of the things you said was he used a lot of psychology principles to actually make that a good video. So you don't have to dive into him, but what are those principles that everybody should be taking advantage of?
I'll dive into him for sure. And
Let's do it.
Okay,
all right,
I want
let's do
to
it.
preface this, that everything is psychology. If you understand humans, you understand the world. And content is the exact most perfect analogy for this. Okay, so I don't know if Jordan does this consciously, but I can explain exactly why his video worked. I think he does it consciously because he knows what he's doing. And the people who win know what they're doing, okay? So when he started that video, he was it's just a video of him talking for 17 minutes, basically about how he sold his software company for millions of dollars, and now he's depressed. There's been a very big popular trend of people being authentic on camera with no cuts, just raw. The only reason I say that is because you can not cut a video and talk for 17 minutes and lie and manipulate people. Like, it's not like people, whatever. I'll go in a whole different. I don't want to get into it right now. I'll save that for later if we want to get there.
Okay.
But I totally also get the appeal, so I'm not knocking it.
Right.
But with him, I think that people that are watching YouTube, like you guys, when you were saying your approach the beginning was completely wrong.
Yeah.
You think that is just, this dude is a rich guy. He turned on the camera and started talking from his heart. I know for a fact he chose to frame himself that way specifically. He made sure that he was sitting on a balcony in Italy. There was an infinity pool right there. And I don't want to call this out, but when he hit record on the camera, I know for a fact he intentionally hit record so you could see his hand come away. So it felt like he just hit record and he's talking. And he also chose to use his body, or his left arm, to reach across the camera, where his Rolex with the diamonds right here was the first thing you see. And then he's talking to you like this. And I don't think that's a negative thing. I'm not calling him out for it. I just think I think it's extremely intelligent and a sign that he knows what he's doing with content, because people are attracted to that and it objectively works. The whole message of the video is amazing. Like, money is not going to make you happy. Money is not what you should pursue. You should pursue your craft and do something you're passionate about, because that's what's going to give you fulfillment. Great video. But I know that was conscious and intentional at the very beginning, because your hook is everything. And that framing, if you say you're a millionaire, and I just sold my software company for millions, but I'm sitting against a white wall and there's nothing around me and I'm wearing a black shirt with nothing on, people aren't going to trust you or believe you. And so he knew that he needed to set his frame in the very first minute, because he wanted to get 1 million views on this video. And so he knew that he's going to get a lot of people who don't know who he is. And so he's going to tell you he just sold a software company for millions of dollars. But then people are going to be like, did you really? Then they see the house. Then they see the view. Then they see the infinity pool. Then they see the Rolex. And he made sure, I have all the nice watches. I have all the nice cars. I'm on this $100,000 vacation. That's all he says for the first minute, just to validate himself, because the frame matters. Who you are matters, because people don't want to listen to people. Like, if a homeless person was on the street and he's tried to give you life advice, you would literally do the opposite of what he told you, because you don't want to be like him. And so he set that frame because who the advice comes from matters. And so he sets that frame for the first minute. That's all he's doing, and it's psychology. It's social proof, who he's friends with. It's authority, what results he has. It's basic, like showing lifestyle, so he looks, and then also trying to be relatable. So the whole point of that video was, I made millions of dollars, authority. I'm friends with all these cool people, social proof. And then, but I don't like the money. The money isn't worth it. Don't pursue money, which is another psychology principle of likeness. Oh, he's just like us. He's humble. He's kind. And so that is not something that I think the way I'm explaining it can sound like you can like really engineer it in an evil, manipulative way. That's not what he was doing, but I can objectively look, and that's why it worked.
No, that makes sense. Like, even if you have a positive message, to get people to get hooked and pay attention, you got to shock them a little bit with something, or just
Right.
get them, dangle the carrot a little bit.
Yeah, Hormozi talked about this in a recent podcast where he was talking about content, and he calls it setting the frame. But if you watch his content, he'll have let's say they did like a 8-hour presentation at like one of their school masterminds or something. The first 20 seconds of the video, it's actually him sitting in the studio. It's like, he basically says, if you want to learn how to make money through organic content, this is the best 30 minutes of the 8-hour mastermind we did in front of 5 students. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Alex Hormozi. I sold my company for $60 million and have a portfolio of $250 million. You're going to really enjoy this. So we set the frame. Every sentence he said was a different psychology principle because he knew people would have those objections. He said exactly what the video is going to be about. So if you want to make money with organic content, then he uses social proof. I was at an 8-hour mastermind where 30 people were listening to me speak. So he's important, authority. And then he tells you why you should listen to him, his results. So you believe the frame that you should listen to this person because he's made $60 million. And that's all he was doing. And then it goes to the actual video, which is in a completely different location. So that's how important that first 30 seconds is with content. And that's how you need to be thinking about it. So that's the psychology objections.
100%, that makes sense. So we're reading that book, Influence.
Yeah, that's what it's all from.
Yeah, it's all from. So like, so how important is it to use like a combination of all of them together?
Yeah, so there's 6, but you don't. It's not necessarily about using all 6.
Okay.
It's like I would always try to use like 2 or 3 within a video, and especially in the hook. So there's like this. What are the 6? The 6 are scarcity. So there's only like limited spots available. It's authority, like you actually have credibility, who you are, people want to listen to you, you have been successful. Social proof, other people are doing it. Like if there's a fire, it's like a survival thing, like there's a fire in a room and you see people running, you don't need to actually go look and see if there's a fire, you just start running because you know they're screaming for a reason. There's likeness or commonality, like people like buying from people who are similar to them. So if someone calls me on the phone and they have the same references to sports teams I like. They have the same accent as me. They were from my hometown, way more trustworthy. Where if an Indian accent talks to me, I like him a little bit resistant. And that's not like, that's just like any accent.
It's absolutely racist.
Is it any
It's
accent?
psychology, but
Yeah.
it's just psychology.
Yeah.
And so what are the other 2? You made me laugh. Urgency, like you need to buy now. It's like, this is brand new. This is a new opportunity. You're going to fall behind if you don't. Yeah. And then the last one, reciprocity. Like if I give you something, you feel obligated to give me something back. It's like something that like religious cults do. They're going to like give you a Bible, or they're going to give you like a flower. And then since they gave you something, you then feel obligated to give them something back, which is why favors feel good between humans. And so all of these are like layered into your content. And that's the frame you need to be looking at it, like you're checking boxes on psychology principles. And so like some of my videos, I'll open up a social proof. Like if I want to get someone interested in SaaS, I'll be like, everyone's doing it. Alex Hormozi, Alex Becker SaaS, Sam Ovens SaaS. And I'll literally lead the video like that with one of my most viewed videos. And then I go, and by the way, I've made money I've made 3 SaaS myself, so you should listen to me. And so in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how you can make $1 million. It's their desired outcome. So those 6 psychology principles are a different way to get these people to listen to you. So if it's social proof, it's not you telling this person, hey, you should listen to me, do what I say, because a lot of people are resistant to that. But I'd be like, everyone's doing it. Then like, I guess everyone is doing it. Then maybe I should. If you say authority, like, hey, I made $8 million this year, so I know what I'm talking about. You're not bragging. You're not hounding like a 2-minute story about how great you are. It's just, hey, by the way, I've made $8 million doing this, so I'm someone worth listening to. And then reciprocity is like, here's a free resource. Here's a free script template. Here's a free something. And that way it's free value. It's like, wow, this actually is impactful and helped me change my business right here, right now. This person actually knows what he's talking about. Thank you. I'm going to keep watching him. Or then I'm going to buy his product. So you give something first, then they give you something back. And so these are just little like weapons that you can use at certain aspects of your business to disarm people, essentially, is how you think about it. Because everyone's skeptical. Everyone thinks course gurus are scammers. And so you have to be layering in these just proven psychology principles to get people to actually trust you.
100%.
So those are like the 6 principles from influence, which are like the social dynamics. But there's also like the key part with like Hormozi saying, if you want to make money through organic content, listen to this video. Like clearly defining what the video is, or clearly stating the desired outcome. If you want to make $1 million in your 20s, listen to this. Like hard claims of desired outcome, what the video is about, and how we're going to achieve the desired outcome are also very important parts of content. So it's like mixing those 3 things, what the video is about, what the viewer's desired outcome is, what do they want to achieve, and then clearly saying how we're going to achieve that, and then mixing in those psychology principles. So Alex Hormozi, SaaS, Sam Ovens, SaaS, everybody's doing SaaS. Me, I've made 5 different SaaSes and made over $5 million in the last year alone. So today I'm gonna show you how to make $1 million with your SaaS in 5 simple steps. Those are like the different components of a hook, and you can mix and match them, but that's kind of the art form, all while making sure that you're keeping it broad and not siphoning off too many people.
When you think about businesses growing their sales beyond forecasts, like Feastables by Mr. Beast, or a legacy business like Mattel, sure, you think about a product with demand, a focused brand, and influence-driven marketing, but an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business making selling, and for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not so secret with ShopPay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout as Mr. Beast. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/WGMI, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/WGMI to upgrade your selling today.
Okay, so the psychology principles are obviously crucial to making all this stuff work. What if you mentioned 6 and some more as well, but what's the #1 most impactful one?
Psychology principle?
Yeah, for YouTube, for content.
I think every time you have to state your authority, like every video, Alex Hormozi is going to have to say that he sold a company for $60 million. He has a portfolio company of 9 figures. Almost every time he'll do that.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, he knows that he's talking to his existing audience and the video will only have like 50 to 100,000 views.
So interesting.
But if you look at his videos that are broad, like so he made one recently that's like 20 pieces of life advice for men in their 20s. So he knew that this was intentionally a broader concept because there's a lot of men in their 20s who need general life advice. Right. And so he knew this was a broader video. And so in that one, he made sure to say, this is how much money I've made. This is the age that I did it at. This is why you should listen to me, essentially. And so he chose that piece of psychology to layer into a broad video because he knew that these people wouldn't have seen him before. So he needs to say his authority. He needs to say exactly what they're going to get out of this and why they should listen to him. So he chooses those psychology principles for that concept. But when he's doing a more technical video, like the organic content one, he doesn't have to say he has a $250 million portfolio company. And so it's all about, he says value per second in his words. So literally the difference between a video retention, like if you go on for 2 sentences too long that the audience already understands or doesn't need, they're gonna get bored and leave. So the first 30 seconds is so important, and that every word needs to hit, or every sentence needs to hit with precision and be as short as possible to get that message across. Like all I need to say is I made $8 million with content on YouTube or whatever. For me, it's $5 million. If I made $5 million with content on YouTube. I don't need to say I made $5 million with content on YouTube over 3 different years with 4 different types of content. At first I was talking about this, then I was talking about this. So you guys should listen to me. I just need to say those 5 words. I made $5 million on YouTube. That's it. Anything longer than that is like me trying to make myself sound cool, and it doesn't serve the purpose. It's like, okay, check that box, check that psychology box, check that box. And you just need to be aware that are we going for a 1 million view video with a broader audience in mind that doesn't know me probably. Okay, then I need to provide my authority. I need to tell them how much money I make. I need to tell them what I do and why they should listen to me, and that I was like them. So he makes sure to say, I made X amount of money in my 20s. So that way anybody that's in their 20s is like, okay, I should listen to this guy because I want to make this amount. And he also did it in his 20s, so the information is relevant. And so it's like choosing that very strategically based on who you think is going to see this video. And so if he made a video that's going to be seen by his core audience, he can just use, hey, if you want to make money as an entrepreneur for organic content, this is the best part of the 8-hour conversation we had. Check it out. Super short. But if it's for the men in their 20s, he needs to give an extra 2 or 3 points of psychology.
Okay, got it. So it's like a different bullet or a different weapon for whatever type of audience you're appealing to.
Right. It's like, what is the product for this? What is the goal of the video? Who is going to see this video? Do we want it to be a 1 million view video? Okay, then we're going to go for men in their 20s. That's a bigger market than entrepreneurs selling info. So if it's men in their 20s and it's going to be a broader market, then it's going to be new people. So I need to give them the full context. If it's my core audience, I need to speak to them with the context that's already assumed. So we assume they already know algebra, and so I'm going to teach them calculus. But if it's for men in their 20s, I just need to teach them addition and subtraction. And so I need to say it differently. But that's all done in 20 seconds at the very beginning. But if you look at any retention curve on YouTube, 70% of people are dropping off in the first minute. And so that first minute is super, it's like this balance of like, I need to say as much as possible. I need a message as much as possible in the fewest words as possible to get my point across, to make sure they can trust me, to know why it's good for them and what they're going to learn specifically. I need to do that as short as possible and then get into the video and then deliver on that. That's like the formula for education. So the shorter you can do it and the more message, the bigger message you can communicate, the better your video will do.
What should the call to action be on a YouTube video? Like, what's the most effective one? And do you recommend people leave one on every video?
Yeah, no. So I would recommend selling every 4 videos. Like if you hard sell on YouTube, every 4 video, you actually do a hard sell. Now, caveat here is you can do a call to action to a lead magnet, and that will trigger reciprocity.
Sure.
So if I do like, 10-minute videos are the best format, 10 to 15 minutes for education people. 4 minutes in, 5 minutes in, you have a call to action. You only sell on the 4th video, but the first 3, there's a lead magnet that captures their email and provides them value. So that is basically the 7-11-4 rule. They watch 10 minutes of content. If they're serious, they get a lead magnet, so you're triggering reciprocity. You're giving them value. Not only that, but now they're consuming more hours of time with you on a different touch points. That's the 4, right? It's 7 hours of content, 11 different pieces of content, and 4 different touch points. So YouTube, email, landing page, or Instagram, something like that, 4 different places. And so within the video, 10-minute video, 4-minute call to action to a lead magnet, trigger the reciprocity, have them spend more time with you. In that you have their email. Now email them when your next video is ready. They see the next video, new lead magnet, nurture them further, get that time throughout 4 videos. If you do that like a zigzag path of getting them towards their outcome, you can sell them something to help them get them to their outcome. So it takes 4 videos to get them from 0 to 1. And the hard part is not getting them the outcome, it's getting them to process, understand, decide that it's right for them, take the first steps on their own, and then they're in the position where your product can take them to that next step. Like Alex Hormozi's whole content thesis is I am going to help entrepreneurs go from $300,000 a year to 3 million. And once they get to 3 million, I'm going to help them go to 30 million. And I'm going to invest in their company and I'll own the company. But they'll have so much built up 7-11-4 that by the time they're at 3 million, they'll attribute that success to me, that they're going to code through me to get that, because his private equity business is all about deal flow.
Sure.
And so it's genius. It's so intentional why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what I think most people don't understand or think about when they start making content. They're like, Alex Hormozi's making content. That means I got to get on camera and talk too. Yeah. And it's like, that's all they're thinking about. Where Alex Hormozi's like, I'm going to enter extremely competitive, extremely lucrative business, private equity. What does private equity need? Deal flow. We need businesses to let us invest. Well, why are they going to let some guy who just made 60 million selling gym courses invest? Well, they're probably not. They're probably going to choose the Wall Street guys. They're probably going to choose the multi-billion-dollar players, the Silicon Valley VCs over me. So what's my angle based off of my skills? Well, I know info. I've been making content for these people. I'm going to make very valuable content on YouTube. I'm going to commit in investing time into educating them, giving them everything for free that they'll feel so indebted that they will choose me, and that's how I'll get deal flow. And content is the engine to open up that door, where private equity people aren't looking at it that way at all. So he found his angle based off his skills, which is the book Mastery by Robert Greene.
100%, which is such a good, like we've talked about this a lot, but it's just such a good like thing to put out there, which is like you don't need to make content. Like we've questioned why we're making content like 1,000 times.
Yeah,
because like seriously,
I don't think you should.
Yeah, because like okay, for our business model, like just the honest truth is like we don't really need content. I mean, but like we were telling them earlier, like I mean, just making these podcasts and meeting new people and all that stuff, that's a massive added benefit for us. But
100%.
There's just not like a necessary need for us making content. It's just like not really there.
Yeah, this is where I'd like to talk about like people like projecting, you know, again,
Yeah.
back to that.
Yeah.
It's essentially like, I think everyone, since you see creators online, since they're so visible, they're way louder than every other belief. And so all these people who are actually really good operators of businesses, like my friends here, they're my age, they have literally started $1 billion hearing aid company in 4 years. The CEO, literally will walk away with hundreds of millions of dollars before he's like 29. Insane. He comes up to me and is like thinking that I'm in the right position. And he's like guilting himself like, dude, I should be making content. I need to be making, I'm like, bro, you have a $1 billion hearing aid company.
Right.
I make a few $1 million on YouTube and I am like one of the best at what I do. Like it's like the upside for you doesn't even make sense. And so, but they have this guilt. And so I see all these entrepreneurs / operators who tell themselves they need to make content, but then all of the content creators like me, I just like making content and I'm kind of just like pretending like a business person, you know? Like trust me, I'm running a software development agency, I have a technical partner.
Yeah.
My job is to get customers. My content gets customers. That's what I do. And I love it. Like all I will think about is making content. All I think about is psychology and writing scripts and educating people and helping them get to this point and having conversations with people like you and then running my podcast to attract people for my software development agency. But that is true to me and that is my game. And so don't guilt yourself if you're a savage operator and you're doing stuff that works to make content unless you're as intentional as Hormozi for why he's making content. Because Alex Hormozi is a full-time content creator. He is playing business on YouTube, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Layla is the operator. She's the one hiring people. She's the one interviewing. She's the one staying on top of teams, doing all the management calls, doing all that, and she likes that. That's her game. And so people need to understand who they are and what they're naturally interested in and understand the role that they should play in a business, right? Like any $1 billion business is hundreds or thousands of people. It's not the fucking CEO. And so it's like, know your role, play your game. If you like making content, if you like teaching, if you like writing scripts and you like making videos, you like making thumbnails, you like that stuff, that is a very valuable skill set for a business, but it is not a requirement to run a business.
For sure.
The same thing with operating.
Yeah.
I can't operate for the life of me.
Yeah.
I can barely, if I have one call during the day, my whole day's ruined, you know? Like I need creativity, I need freedom.
Right.
Not organized at all. So that's my strong advice from someone who loves content. Only do it if you're ready to play that game. Iman. Number one thing I respect about Iman is he's always known exactly who the fuck he is. He is a content creator. He plays the lifestyle game better than anybody. He knows exactly who he's targeting. He knows exactly what he's selling them. He knows that he sells courses. He knows that he has his education business. He knows that's virtuous, and he knows the fucking game, and he plays it harder than anybody, and that's why he wins. He's not worried about what other people feel about him, how people think about him. He has his principles, and he executes.
Yeah, 100%. But your boy that's making hundreds of millions of dollars, he literally thinks that attention is worth more. Like maybe not thinks that.
You want what you don't have, right?
Yeah,
it's like when we were at the fucking Starbucks, the lady like immediately asked me what I do. I say I'm a YouTuber and she freaks out. They get all excited, right? So they see that and see that's a different type of attention.
Right.
Yeah.
But when he goes to New York and he's talking to the CFO of Shopify, he's getting invited to these dinners of like elite players.
Yeah.
I'm just a fucking little YouTuber that gets 100,000 views on a video, you know?
Right,
It's like these guys have 50 people like me on their payroll making videos for them. Like that's a way bigger operation. And so it's called local status.
But it's interesting though, because like when I was with Patrick, the guys that made more money than him even, or like the big players, they would kind of worship the whole attention thing. Like they literally look at him as the authority for that reason too.
I mean, that is the benefit, right? Like you have people see you. And so that's just like that built up trust. Like Elon didn't need a social media following to build Tesla, but once he did build Tesla and defied all the odds, he became the most followed person on X, and now it's a double, like now all Tesla needs to do to market their Cybertruck release is let Elon post a tweet. So like obviously it's a huge important element, but for every Elon Musk to have the company and the social brand, there's 100 people who have $1 billion companies that you've never heard of. Sure, if you watch any podcast with most billionaires on YouTube, they have like 1,000 views. Like the smartest people get the smallest views because their knowledge is so niche and so advanced that it only applies to 1,000 other people.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
And so like that's literally where I think my advantage is like I can understand how the billionaires speak. I understand the big words. I understand the technical jargon. And then I can just translate it to the everyday person and explain how it's good for them. That is the only reason I'm successful on YouTube, because I'm conscious of that and that's how I operate. I know that if I use a certain set of words, more people will understand it, it'll get more views. Where if I want to stroke my ego and use big words and talk to this $100 million SaaS founder and use all this, the industry slang, you're cutting out anyone who does, like if you say a sentence, they don't know one word that you're saying in the very first part of the podcast, they're gone because they feel like left behind.
Right. But that could be used super strategically too. So that if you do decide to do that, you can get a higher quality audience, have that audience convert more.
Yes.
All that
It's your
stuff.
content thesis.
Right.
So my content thesis for my podcast is find people who are making 100K a month. So, and it's achievable. So it feels achievable, but they've reached more success than 99% of people have. So they made $1 million, but they're close enough to it that they can teach the people how they went from 10K a month to 100K per month. So it's a level of achievability and where most people aspire to be. And then I teach in the context of you make 10K a month, you kind of know how business works. This conversation will help you understand how to get to 100K per month. That's my content thesis. And I know that that range, if I wanted to get 1 million views, I'd be teaching people how to make 10K a month. If I want to get a few 100,000 of more quality people, I talk about how to make $1 million a year or 100,000 a month. And if I want to just stroke my ego and talk to the smartest people in the world, and I have a VC company and I want deal flow, like I want to attract the smartest Y Combinator founders, I will use the biggest words possible and get the most successful founders possible that these people know. And I only need 1,000 views, but I can make more money than both those people. It's just knowing your game.
Okay, so it's somebody's day one of deciding they want to start a YouTube channel. What's the process they got to go through?
Okay, so we talked a lot about like strategy, how you need to think about the liquidity, market size, all of that. So I'll leave the woo-woo stuff away. Essentially, there are like 6 skills to content, and you have to put intention into each one of these. So most people are going to teach you that you need to come up with the idea first and make sure it's like a banger idea and make sure it's a big enough market, you're not siphoning anybody out. So the packaging needs to be dialed in. The packaging, you need to make sure you can find a way to make a broad title, broad thumbnail that will attract the most amount of people without saying how to start a social media marketing agency, because only 10,000 people will be interested in that. So packaging thumbnails essentially are trying to gauge intrigue, and you're trying to put an idea in someone's head, and that idea needs to be broad. And so you can use the psychology in thumbnails, like most people are 6 times more likely to run away from pain than they are towards pleasure. You need to do a juxtaposition before, after. You can do all these different methods, and you can find packaging that works on other channels and take inspiration from it. But you never want to copy someone's title or thumbnail word for word. Title you can get away with as long as it's in the context of what you're doing. But if you copy a thumbnail, people will feel like they've seen it before, and it won't feel fresh, and they'll subconsciously notice that. So with thumbnails, it's really, all you're trying to do is put an idea in their head. You can lean into psychology, but you need to follow the 3-element rule, which means like you don't want it to be like your face and then a logo of the company and then 2 apps you're going to talk about, then text on the left and then different noise in the background. You just want your face, one clear image, and then one other element, right? So it's like my face, $10,000, and then like a computer, because the computer means it's a business. That's what it's messaging. It's only 3 things: face, computer, the apps you're talking about. Or for personal brands, always face, you know? But it could be like, Rian Doris has really good thumbnails where it's like on the left, it's like a brain top side view, and it's an outline, and then it has a red bar that's like 20%. And on the right, it's the same brain, but 95% it's in green. And so you're seeing the 2 compared to each other. It's like you subtly get the idea, the message, that they're gonna teach you how to optimize your brain's performance, right? In a visual thing, just like that. It's like pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? That's the concept. But no more than 3 elements. Lean into psychology, keep it clean, and you're really just trying to put an idea in your head. Could the person know what this video is about without seeing the title? Then the title is used to confirm the thumbnail and maybe add a little extra curiosity. So it's like the Rian Doris video. I don't know the title, but a title for that brain on the left with red to brain on the right that's green with a full bar could be how to unlock your brain's true potential. And so it's not like drinking Gatorade will make your brain work hard. That gives you the answer, right? It's like how to unlock your brain's potential. Work harder than 99% of people with this secret flow state. Something like that, you know? Flow, you know? And so it's like this broad, branded, not telling you exactly what it is, but it's hinting at the outcome that you're gonna get, but you're not telling them how you're gonna get that outcome. Because if you say how to become more productive than everybody in the world, and the thumbnail is you in a cold plunge, everyone's gonna be like, okay, it's just cold plunge. I don't even need to watch the video.
Yeah,
you know?
giving it away.
Yeah, so you need to be really broad with the language so you're not turning people away. If they already know what cold plunges are and it's a cold plunge, they aren't gonna watch it. And so you need to make sure you're broad. The title confirms. So like the thumbnail is like this picture and the title's almost like a reflection of it, but the title is also leading into curiosity and giving you a little more information. It's confirming what you thought. So you see the thumbnail, you have an idea, look at the title, that's in line, but it's telling you the outcome without telling you how you're going to achieve it. That's like the only thing you need to learn or think about for packaging. That's an art form. You need to make like 5 of them, and you need to test them all. Same with your title. Use the tool thumbnailtest.com. Have at least 4 titles to test with different angles, and then just let it change every single hour by itself, and then look at whichever one's having the most watch time, click-through rate, and AVD. The metrics are too subjective. It's not like you have to get 8% click-through rate and at least 5 minutes of watch time. It's all different. The best way I can talk about it is every niche, every keyword, every search term has their own standard. So if the average newsletter video averages a 6% click-through rate and 4 minutes of average view duration, but then you make a newsletter video that has 7% click-through rate and 6 minutes of AVD, since yours has the best metrics in that category, you should get the traffic and rank on Google search for SEO. Like, that's the SEO side of YouTube because it's the same thing as Google. And so if YouTube searches newsletter and my video has the best backend metrics, the algorithm recognizes that and then recommends it on search. Now for browse, you need to balance your core audience. If you release a video and it's completely different than what your core audience is interested in, it's gonna have bad performance based off your channel average, and they're gonna view that as a bad video and not recommend it and won't give it the chance to be indexed in search. So it's too subjective, but that means that the difference, if you have a video and your average is 6%, and you post this one with a title and thumbnail, and it gets 6%, there is a chance that you can make a new title and thumbnail to bump it up 1%. And you bumping it up 1% to 7 to 7.2 will immediately leapfrog the other videos indexed for that word and can instantly get you a push. And so it really matters. You're literally playing a game of the difference between 6% and 7% is 100 to 200,000 views. And I've literally seen that. My Businesses of the Future video, it was about no-code AI. So it was Shopify and Bubble. And so I gave away way too much and made it too specific. And I only got 9,000 views in the first 5 days with a 6.6 click-through rate, 6.6% click-through rate. And so on the 5th day, I changed the title to Businesses of the Future, This Generation's Opportunity. And then I made the thumbnail, The New Rich. And so think about how that's completely changing the framing of the video. From Shopify to Bubble, $100,000 with AI, what is he talking about? Businesses of the future, this generation's new opportunity, and then the picture is me, and I'm like a young kid, and it's like the new rich, the new way to get rich. It's really strong messaging. And that immediately went from a 6.6% click-through rate to 8.8, and the video got over 200,000 views in the next 5 days. So from 9,000 views to 209,000 views in 5 days off of one thumbnail change and title change that essentially increased the click-through rate by 2%. So a 2% click-through rate made me over $100,000 extra because I had a monetized system on the back end. $100,000 from one video because of a 2% click-through rate change. Yeah. And so that's like how important thumbnails are. And so the cool thing about YouTube right now is that if you make a brand new channel, there's no core benchmark for your channel. And so you kind of just get recommended right out the gate. They give you an opportunity. And so if you know how to make good content, you listen to these skills, your idea is right, your packaging is right, you get the hook psychology correct, and the storytelling and pacing is correct, your video will get 500,000, 1 million views if you're playing that game correctly. And so with the new channel, you actually have an advantage over existing channels for the ability to go broad and try something new. So that is really important to note. Now, once you have that packaging down, Mr. Beast and all these people are going to say, you need to confirm the title and the thumbnail in the first sentence, which is true. Like if he says like driving a Lamborghini off the cliff, the first thing they need to do is show an actual Lamborghini going off a cliff so you know it's not clickbait. But with education, it's a little different. Recently, I've come to terms with, I think the title is essentially like the first sentence of your video, and people don't like these long, drawn-out prefacing. And so the hook, again, like I said earlier, it's all about the psychology. This is what the video is about. If you want to get customers with organic content, watch this video. You should listen to me because I have this experience. This is what we're going to do by the end of this video, and this is how we're going to do it. Video starts. That's like the hook structure. You can basically just make sure that whatever you set the expectation in the title, thumbnail, whatever curiosity that is, make sure they feel like that's what the video is about. That's the most simple way to put it.
For sure. Just to interrupt you real quick. Okay, so in podcasts, if you're making a video, if you're making a video podcast on YouTube, one of the biggest corrections he gave us is skip the introductions. Nobody cares. Go straight to the money. Go straight to the reason they clicked on it. It doesn't matter if it's a podcast or a normal video.
Right.
So yeah.
So my podcast, people don't know my guests. They're not well known. And so I'm like, how much money do you make? What do you do? How old are you? And then we just actually go into the details. Yeah. Because it's like, why should someone listen to this person? Well, he's made $2 million. What did he do? Doing this? Oh, that could apply to my business.
Right.
And he's 23. Okay, if he's 23, this has to be kind of new and anyone can do it.
Right.
So I should listen. And so like that's the ideas you're putting in the person's head to make them feel like they should care about this person. Yeah. Where if I say, welcome, this is John Summit. Oh, that's a DJ. Hello. Hello, this is John whatever. Yeah. I'm really excited to talk to you today, man. You're really cool, and I really like you. And this is just so we tried to schedule this in for 15 minutes, but we finally made, who gives a fuck, bro? What is it in it for me? Like, that's all people are thinking. And so the hook, that's where you just need to make sure you're matching it and then hitting those points, whether it's a 10-minute video or a podcast, which is why my first podcast got 500,000 views, because I made sure to do that. And then so basically from there, no one can teach you what to teach. I can't tell you what value to provide, whatever value, that obscure word that everyone tells you. Value is essentially just streamlining information. You went through 6 months of experiences and learning. Now you put all of that in a 10-minute video in the most concise way possible, so the value per second is hitting. So I can't tell you what to teach. I can't give you information, say make a video on this, and you're just gonna magically do it. For my newsletter video, I had to spend 9 months building up a newsletter to 80,000 people, monetizing it, trying different growth strategies. Then I condensed that in a 10-minute video that took me 3 weeks to make, right? So it's it takes effort and it takes experiences, but you can compound these. Now, another thing is just reading 7 books. And the 7 best things I learned from these 7 books. That's a valuable video because it's streamlining information. Okay, so I cannot teach you that part. You have to do that. It could be just learning how to build a Shopify website in a day, then the next day making a tutorial. It doesn't have to be some long drawn out thing, and it can be anything. Just do it, learn it, teach it. But essentially, once you have that, there is a correct way to present the information, and this is where you need to use storytelling. So most people are going to essentially just start talking randomly, but they don't understand there's a correct order in which you can share information. And so storytelling, there's a lot of different storytelling frameworks. They're just graphs. It's okay, positive things here, negative things here, how that negative thing turned around and made it positive, but then you had another setback, and then, okay, here you go. This is the last thing you did. You solved everything. Now you're living happily forever after. That's a basic way to follow a story. And essentially with education, you just need to lay out what the video's about, why you need to watch this, how we're going to achieve your desired outcome. That's the hook, basically the you need go. And then search is provide context. So it's okay, this industry, I'll just use my no-code video as an example. Everyone knows software is a great business that you can start. But for the first time ever, you can actually build software without even knowing how to code. AI presents a new opportunity, and with AI and other software APIs, you can build almost any software you want without any code. So that's context. That's what we're trying to achieve. That's what this context of the video is. Then it's search. So, okay, that's what we want to achieve. How are we going to do that? Well, there's a new tool called Bubble. Bubble is a software tool that allows you to build software with just drag and drop. And then I'll give an analogy. It's a lot like Shopify, but instead of building physical stores, you want to build software. If you want to learn how to do this, I actually have a free course where you can just run through it. It's an hour long and get a feel for it. It's completely free. Don't worry about it. First link in the description below. If you're not ready yet, don't worry. Let me show you some other things. Now, here's a few things that you can build with Bubble. So it's the you need go, then search, which is the context, find, which is what we're doing, Bubble, then it's take, my call to action, and then it's return to teaching. And so after we did the call to action, we're going to return, meaning I'm going to give them examples. Here's a software that we built with Bubble. Here's a software that this person built with Bubble. Here are different ways you can make money with it. You can build it for companies. You can make your own software, whatever it is. And then at the end, all right, well, guys, that is how you can build software and make $1 million without knowing any code whatsoever. This is a brand new opportunity. I highly encourage you to get behind this and start doing this. Again, if you want to take the course and you're serious about this, click the link in my bio. Other than that, in the next video, you just tee up the next video in the video. And so it's the correct way to help someone understand the concept, show them what the concept is, show them how it works, show them examples, and then tell them how they can actually benefit with their new beliefs that are changed. So it's this circle, it's the Dan Harmon flywheel, but I've kind of manipulated it for educational YouTubers. So that's a storytelling framework for education creators, where some people are just literally talking, don't put any thought into it. They're so guys, you can build software with no code. I know it's really exciting. They're trying to be funny. They're trying to show personality. Now, let me kind of show you guys why this makes sense. Because if you build software, you make money. And then once you make money, you could build a SaaS. So let me kind of show you this thing. Have you guys ever tried to use Shopify? Well, it's like that, but with Bubble. Bubble is the software builder without code. You just drag. That's how people are. They know what they are supposed to be saying, but they're saying it out of order, where it should be a constant segue. And it's the typical storytelling framework that you can think of. This is the but therefore storytelling framework. Everything needs to be progressing. This is how South Park writes their shows. Everything needs to be a but, therefore. And so a good example of this is I always use is like, okay, here's how you would tell a story with just the but, therefore framework. I was going to go to the bowling alley, but a pipe burst and the alley was frozen over. Therefore, I decided to get food instead. But when I was driving to get food, my friend called me and invited me to a party. Therefore, I got on the highway and started driving downtown. But when I was on the highway, there was a car crash and I couldn't get through. Therefore, I went home and went to bed. You can tell an infinitely long story on the fly just using but, therefore. I made a decision, something happened, but new information. Therefore, with that new information, I made a different decision. But once I made that decision, something new happened. Therefore, I had to go do that. So it's forever. And so you need to be thinking about that in any situation when you're communicating to people. Don't backtrack. Don't be like, I was going to go to the bowling alley, then the pipe burst, and then I was going to go get food. Therefore, I was going downtown to my friend. But then I started thinking about the bowling alley, and a really funny thing happened. This girl winked at me. But that doesn't matter. Now I'm going to the party. Holy shit, there's a crash. Like it interrupts the flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So all the information needs to be local towards that point, and then you need to move on.
Got it. Okay.
So that's storytelling of the actual video.
Right.
And then obviously there's like performance on camera. Like obviously the only way to do that is to practice. I think Luke Belmar said the reason he became so articulate was because he reads out loud. And when I was talking to the CIA agent guy here, he said the same thing. It's like muscle mouth memory. And so if you're saying it out loud, so when he reads out loud, he's training his muscles to say this, and it's easier for him to articulate it in a confident way. And so performance on camera, these are all different skills. When you see me talk, I'm using a lot of hand motions. This subconsciously communicates the message to you much more clearly. It's easy for you to understand. That's why captions on a screen make it easier for you to comprehend information faster. Tonality, no one likes listening to a brick wall. And the best way to practice tonality is to move. Because if you ever watch like animated movies, like where like kids animated shows, the voice actors in the booth are literally yelling when they're trying to do when they're yelling at someone in the show, when they're excited, they're moving, because there's a voice inflection that happens when you move. Like me physically moving is changing the tonality of my voice, and that evokes feeling out of people. So that's probably the most important thing. Tonality, hand gestures, facial expressions. The most viewed TikTok on TikTok is by Bella Poarch, and all she's doing is just like listening to a song, going like this, opening her eyes, and like doing really weird facial expressions, but there's something about it to humans that are like drawn to that. And so if you're like really animated, people are like, it's like entertaining for you to see. And it also, there's micro expressions that you do kind of pick up on. That's like hit or miss psychology, but it exists. There's communication through facial expressions. And so body language, like body movement, hand gestures, tonality, facial expression, and then just moving, I think is ultimately like the number one thing for presence on camera. And then the last thing, once you make your first video, obviously you have all these skills down. You're never done learning. Like everything I taught you today was what I've learned over the last month. After 3 years of doing this, so much of this is new because everything's constantly evolving. So the best way to understand that is retention curves. Any social media platform with like YouTube or with Instagram or TikTok, after about 2 days, they give you this graph that's like your retention curve, and you can see exactly where people are leaving your video. So if they click the video and they watch it for 45 seconds and leave, you're gonna see this graph and it's gonna dip. And so all you need to do is go back in your video and see what you did and make sure you don't do that in the next one. So if you have a big dip at the 2-minute mark and then it goes back up and stays flat, there's something that you talked about here that just wasn't interesting to people. You might have dragged on a story, you might have repeated yourself, you might have just gave people the wrong expectation, whatever it may be. You just need to learn from those mistakes, and that is the most important thing. Like everything I just told you, don't even worry about that if you're just starting out. Like make your first video, get the reps in, and then look at the retention curve and fix 3 things. That's all you need to do, because then you'll realize, okay, people don't care about when I talk like this. People were really excited. There's a huge jump when I was talking about AI and no-code SaaS. But then when I started talking about the software that I built, no one cared. So we're not going to talk about the software I built. I'm going to start with the AI SaaS, and I'm going to give more examples. So in the future, that goes up by 5%. The average view duration increases. The algorithm will push my content. So that's like the simplest approach that you can have to YouTube, and those are the skills you need to learn. It's the idea, it's the title thumbnail, it's the hook psychology, framing the video correctly, the storytelling, so you're telling the information in the right order, and then body language, your performance on camera, and then making sure that you're reviewing the content, looking at the retention curve, and correcting all your mistakes in the future. That is how you succeed on YouTube at a very meta level.
obviously that's great for YouTube, and it seems like it could translate well to your normal life. How has that impacted like your everyday relationships and people sweeping attention?
It's not good. It's not good because everyone manipulates each other, and they don't know it. And so then I become like extremely aware of like how humans are like, it's like this game of logic that they're using against each other. And I'm like thinking like when you're saying words to me and I am not at all even listening to the words you're saying, I'm like, what is he trying to do to me? What is he trying to get out of this conversation?
Yeah.
What is the message he's saying to me? It's like,
Right.
oh man, it was a sunny day. It's so sunny today. It's a great day. So how are you doing, Brett? And immediately I'm like, he's about to ask me for something.
Yeah.
That's all I'm thinking. Like I'm not thinking about the words, processing his question or anything. It's like, this is his end goal. This is the objective. This is what he's trying to communicate. And some people will spend 8 sentences just trying to ask you like a simple question
100%.
because they're scared of you or something. Or I don't know, they want to dance around. They feel uncomfortable. I don't know.
This is something you see in sales all the time.
Yeah.
It's like when somebody gives you an objection, I need to think about it, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, like, this is not what this person's trying to say. They're saying that because they're too scared to tell you, I think your product fucking sucks.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, or I don't trust you, or I think the coach that's going to teach me this is full of shit. Like, that's what they're really trying to say. And it's really interesting that you're saying that. But, okay, question for you too. So it sounds like you see manipulation as a negative thing. I kind of see it as neutral. I'm gonna explain this. So manipulation is just getting somebody to do something.
Your desired outcome, yeah.
Your desired outcome, right? But the intention behind it dictates whether that's positive or negative.
Correct. The context.
The context. So I think a lot of people, they're looking at manipulation like it's such a negative thing, but in reality, if I manipulate you into stop doing drugs, I'm a fucking great guy. If I manipulate you into cheating on your girlfriend, I'm a piece of shit.
Right.
So it's like, yeah. I mean,
So I had the CIA, Andrew Bustamante on here, the
Yeah.
CIA agent. We talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
And since they recruit CIA agents that are like high empathy and high anxiety because you are so aware of what's happening in the conversation and you can feel it so intensely. But the problem is for me that like if I am aware that I'm manipulating someone who's not as aware of how reality is operating, my empathy starts to kick in where I feel bad for this person. Even if I'm trying to guide them towards a good thing, it's still their lesson to learn or their experience to have. And so I literally have full control over someone's like thought process and where I point them. And so for me, a social situation gets really stressful internally where like I don't like it because I have so much control over the situation. And it's like coming down to like, and then I'll leave even though I feel like I did the right thing, and I'll feel guilty that I guided them one way or I led them to this choice. And then that choice has effects in their life, and I'll feel responsible for that. And so it's like a really stressful internal experience as I believe that I'm a good person and like I want to help people and lead them in the right way with good intentions, but it's an interesting perspective to have when you feel like you can control them. So the opposite of manipulation is motivation. And so that's how he trains. He was giving me advice to flip it. So you don't manipulate people, you're motivating them. And the only difference is if it's for...
a nicer way to say it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's like, okay, I'm manipulating them, aka I'm giving positive encouragement, showing them the benefits if they make this choice, why it's good for them, and why whatever pain point you need to hit, your parents will be proud of you for this. This will keep you in a happier relationship. You'll wake up easier. Whatever they think their problem is and what they think they need, you just frame it and then give them the push, motivate. And so manipulation, if you're like, that's what a psychopath is, right? Someone who manipulates for their benefit to the other person's detriment.
Right.
So
100%.
Yeah, when I was a fitness trainer, I would manipulate my clients all the time.
everyone's doing
Yeah,
it whether
like-
they know
just
it or
hard.
not.
Yeah.
Like when we talk about it consciously like this, it sounds evil or dirty, but like people who are low in, and I don't mean this in a negative way, people who are lower intelligence, lower EQ, they're just doing it back and forth as like they do, one person does a favor and then the other person's like, I did that, or one person does them a favor, like, I did this for you, now you need to buy me a purse. Like you see it in relationships all the time. And they're like weaponizing these things against each other. It's like a game of ping pong.
Right.
And then their like psychology is hitting in like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do that. And so that's just how people operate. That's just how it works. And then there's certain people who have studied, read books. Like the most powerful thing about reading books is just knowing when someone is using that information in the book against you. Or
sure.
if they say something and you know where they got it from. Like that is a level of power that people don't understand. And that really is the only benefit of books, in my opinion. Obviously, it gives you good direction and good ideas.
100%.
But when you're with competent people, it literally is like a battle of who has read more books and are you aware of that book at that point.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it's really interesting because, you know, we both just work for some of the biggest people in the space. And we recently I read 48 Laws of Power like about a year ago for the first time. Like memorized it, internalized it, all that good stuff. Went to go work for these people. And I just saw 1, 2 to fucking 48 every day. It was so interesting, bro. And I was like, all right, I'm not falling for that or that or that.
It doesn't stop. And that, because back in the day, like that was the game. Like for like Rockefeller and the people in the 1900s when information was super limited.
Yeah.
That was like human capital was the only way to make money. That was their only form of leverage. You need more employees making more, you know, silk or whatever to make more money. And so the entire game was to find lesser educated people, put the right incentive structures, then to get them to do whatever you need them to do, but also frame it as it's good for them. And so they just had all the books, they had all the information, and they used it against people for their benefit, which again isn't negative. These are giving people like good lives and good outcomes. But that's how the people at the highest level view it.
100%.
For sure.
That makes sense. You mentioned that for you, you know, the power of this is being able to see when someone's able to do it to you or trying to do it to you. Have you had an experience in your life where someone tried to do something negative using one of these principles and you caught it and it kind of saved you? Or it doesn't have to be that dark, but just an example where it gave you some leverage.
I think it's everyone is going to present, your energy is like your only source, your only asset that you have is your energy and where you're putting your mental energy and what you're putting that towards. And so everyone is trying to suck your energy, whether it's a CNN that wants to get you behind a cause to help make noise, to promote their ratings and to get their president-elect voted. They want you to go protest and they want to make you feel like this is important. It's your moral duty. So everything in the world is trying to suck your energy and use guilt and manipulation against you to make you feel like you should be doing that, that you're a good person for doing that. And so it happens all the time in business. Like every person that comes to me with a partnership proposal or a cold outreach, they are trying to suck my energy for their benefit. And so it's not like there's like one big one, but the cool thing is, not the cool thing, but the mental the mental combat with another intellectual person who's also successful, also giving you a high leverage opportunity. Like when you're playing at a game where you can make $3 million a year and this person can make $20 million a year, they're going to try to get you to come contribute to that $20 million thing because they know it's valuable. And so essentially, they're going to try to frame things very specifically. They're going to give you every incentive, every shiny object, every desired outcome you want. Whether it's girls, they're going to be like, we're going to take you to the strip clubs and we're going to get you the best girls, or we're going to take you to clubs and I have all these girlfriends come to my table. Or whether it's money, I'm going to make you more money than you were making. They're going to find exactly what your pain points are, whatever your desires are, and they're going to speak exactly to that and present their offer for their benefit, but it'll always be in the context of your benefit. The smartest people are going to look at you and you're going to feel like this person loves me, this person's going to help me do everything I've ever wanted, and he has my back, and and he cares about me. But in reality, he is fully calculating this equation of what is the best combination of information I can feed this person, experiences I can show him, social proof I need to show. Do I need to take him to a club, pay 2 girls to talk to him? I know friends who do this. If they want to close a $20 million deal, they will literally go to a club, spend 20 grand in front of the guy, bring 3 girls there and have him talk to the guy and just give him the best night of his life, and he'll think that's what life is going to be like every day with him. And that is just like the highest level of playing the game. And so that is how it works. And so being aware of that and understand that people are willing to go to that level to benefit themselves at not your expense, you're still going to get all those things. Like that's not a lie, but that's how they use it essentially. So just being aware that like it's how people are operating at a certain level.
For sure. Yeah. So when you were first starting out to now being where you're at, I mean, how often are you seeing this stuff? And is it a shock for you? Like, because I'm sure the higher you go, the more successful you become, the crazier that these incentives get and the crazier that the tactics get.
The funny thing is that some people do it because it's learned behavior. This is the craziest thing that I've observed either from girls or entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
There's like, if you're in the right school, if you're in the right system or around the right people, you learn the most manipulative way of behaving without knowing it's a manipulative way of behaving, where you're just performing these actions without understanding the underlying reason it's working, but it's super effective because you're around the right people who taught you the right way of doing things. It's like religion. Like I think Christianity and like religion, the books are teaching you a set way of behaving that'll give you the optimal life, but they're doing it through like a personified story. And so like when they're telling you to pray before your meal or something, they're actually just getting you to talk to your subconscious and to reflect and show gratitude, which has positive effects in the world. So it's almost like this book is teaching you the habits in a story-like way, but you're not fundamentally understanding why it works, and you don't need to for it to benefit you. And so same thing is happening with some of these entrepreneurs in like early 20s that are really successful. They can like, we're gonna present you with this offer, this incentive, this base pay, we're gonna be able to take you out like this, and they just learn this behavior. Same with girls. Like you think that a girl could be like very manipulative to a guy, like let's say like a gold digger. A girl could like go up to a rich guy and she could intentionally be trying to manipulate this person and like observing what he's doing and then kind of changing her playbook based off what this guy's giving her.
Yeah.
Or she could just be manipulative by nature, who has by trial and error, working at a nightclub, learned that if I say this thing in this order to these people, they do what I want. And so it's like a really scary thing that people can get trained into manipulative habits that give them a positive feedback loop. Mm-hmm. So if I meet this guy at a club and then I invite him to hang out one day and we go to dinner the next day and then we invite him to come to the club again, he'll spend another $5,000, I make $1,000. And she's just looking at it like these actions lead to her end result, not understanding the fundamentals of how she's manipulating and why it's working. And so most people, that's what I mean, are just going throughout the world manipulating people because they've gotten positive feedback loops based on these orders of actions. And they don't understand the underlying reason, they just know it works. And so the smart people that are aware can immediately see each individual piece and know when to plug it in when it's important, when to lay it out, what this person needs, essentially. In every situation, they understand the underlying psychology.
Dude, life just gets super weird once you start understanding that stuff then, because if you're talking to two people that both know those tactics.
It is.
And, you know
it's
what
politics.
I mean? It's politics.
It's like, that's the highest level of what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, it's just absurd that Kamala Harris and the Biden administration is getting support by anybody. Like, I don't know how you could possibly actually see what's going on and not be like, this is a complete show for the public. Yeah. This is like a paid actor, and everyone is self-interested. People that want to go to war that profit off of it. All these lobbyists, all these people that are donating, they want input and they want control and they want to keep their spot. The government is way too big. It's not efficient. It's like, it is the most clear thing that it is not working. But everyone who's a part of it not working is self-interested and only cares about their next paycheck. They say, okay, my department is not helping the country, but this is what I've done my whole life. I'm not gonna be able to get a job anywhere else. I make $300K a year. I have good benefits. I'm around cool friends. It's their whole livelihood at stake. And so they're just fighting for their own self-interest at a small scale, and they think there's other organizations that could face the problem. So at the highest level, politics is just very smart people who are aware of this manipulation psychology. They pick a team, they pick a narrative, and then they say the words out loud that make them look like a good person, and they weaponize virtue and guilt against the population. If you want to be a good person, you need to worry about the environment. But that same person will be promoting a coal company and have a backdoor incentive to get people to face that environmental cause against cows. And so they'll use that exact same narrative. Coal is the worst thing for the environment, but they'll literally be like, you need to care about the environment. We need to stop industrial cows, because that's not their business that gets affected, and their business gets all the attention diverted over here. And so that's where at the highest level is being played with politics. If you want, they weaponize you as a good person, because most people in America are great, amazing, kind, well-hearted people, but they get pointed in the direction by these people sucking their energy and diverting it. And so intelligent people that are pieces of shit will go on the internet or go on a podium for the government and say something, and then their incentive is completely opposite. So that's how it's played at the highest level, and you can't beat that. Like, how are you gonna, when it's a democracy where you have to win by votes, by mass population, and most people can't see that, how am I gonna be the guy that says, guys, the environment does not matter. This guy does not care about the environment. It's not that big of a deal. You just look like a bad person. And so that's where politics is like actually like a chess game of strategy of like, it's all like the illusion to get the masses to vote for you because the masses are so unaware. And so it becomes this huge dark mess of what you need to say and what you need to look like on the internet to actually get whatever desired outcome that it is. And so I don't think that there's some like huge deep state cabal that's like running the show. I think it's all of these self-interested people. There's multiple groups of powerful people that are all showing out different propaganda, different messages, different virtue campaigns just to protect themselves, but they're playing against each other. And so it always looks like two sides. So that's my perception of that, at least.
So where's the future going, man?
Okay, so there's a concept called spiral dynamics. And this is one of the longest studied research experiments of human behavior of all time, going on for over 80 years. And I forget what Ivy League school, I don't know if it's MIT or Harvard, but they've been doing it cross departments where they're tracking people's consciousness. They call it ego. So not your ego like you're like, I'm the man, I'm really cool, but like ego is in like your self-talk in your head, your inner dialogue, basically, who you are in your mind, your thoughts. And so they found that there's basically every single person follows the exact same order. And as your ego evolves, your values, your beliefs all change with it. And so there's lower stages, like they do it by colors. And essentially, the more you talk to yourself, the more you meditate, the faster your ego is developing. So the more you self-reflect, the more you ask yourself about what's going on. Whereas if you're like a child and your parents are, like say you're in like survival state, your parents are fighting, your dad's getting divorced, instead of reflecting and thinking about your life and asking yourself questions, you're just like, why are mommy and daddy fighting? Why doesn't dad love me? And so you kind of like block this. And same thing if you're on social media. When information is coming in, it's coming in and your brain is trying to process, are we going to World War III? Do I need to get my gun and run right now? Is my girlfriend okay? Is she safe? You think all these things as information's coming in until you're not growing. And so that's what monks are trying to accomplish. Monks are trying to erase all attachment and just sit there and meditate all day to fast track their ego development to become enlightened at the end of the day. So understand that that is the goal, and the longer that you're alone, the more that you're progressing spiritually, and you're becoming more conscious and aware of how the world actually works, because you're taking information in, but reflecting and growing and talking to yourself, okay? So that's the path. They found out that every person follows this exact path, and it's linear, and you go through the same steps. And so the first step is blue, where you're younger, and essentially you listen to authority, you are religious, you believe fully in the church, you like beer, you like basic drugs like that, cigarettes, beer, low level drugs. Mm-hmm. And so you have these beliefs, you have a 9 to 5, you listen to authority, you do what you're told, you like doing what you're told, you need to be told, this is what you need to be doing to do good. So that's like the blue level to very low level. And then once you ascend from blue, you go into more of what America is, and you have a kind of a different reaction. So where blue is like, I need to be told what I want to do, work a 9 to 5, I'm religious, it's about family, community, and I like to get drunk with my friends, drinking specifically beers. Then you kind of evolve past that and you go to orange, which is kind of what the epitome of America is. Now it's about financial success. Now it's about status, getting the girls, getting the cars. Now it's about doing Adderall, cocaine, speed, performance-enhancing drugs, because that's what's going to get you where you want to go. All about money, self-preservation, and by the way, I'm quoting actualized.org on YouTube. It's where I learned about this. It's like a 20-hour series. Go watch it if you're interested in it. But he says that Donald Trump is like the epitome of the orange ego development, okay? And so it's like all about me, put my name on every building, girls, women, cars, nice stuff, drugs, performance enhancing, whatever. No one else matters. It's me above the other person. Then once you accomplish that, once you make your first few $1,000,000, you start to self-reflect and you start having a spiritual awakening where you're like, wow, I made a lot of money, but I'm still not happy. A lot of the decisions I made hurt other people, and I feel deeply bad about that. Cocaine and Adderall are not good for me. Like, I feel horrible the next day. It's destructive. I can't go down this path. A lot of people have like a drug. You get waken up in different ways, but a lot of people will have like a drug problem. They're like, I can't do this, and that's where they start reflecting. They get to a point where they can't keep go, distracted by status and all this materialistic stuff, that they start asking themselves questions. And then what happens as far as your ego development, you have a knee-jerk reaction and you go the complete other way. You go, oh my God, I need to give all my money away. I need to be a philanthropist. I need to get into charity. It's about the community. And so this is where you have you have the conservative right, and then you have the entire liberal left. They're actually in two different stages of conscious development. And so the liberal left is people who are like smoke weed, free love, the hippie movement. It's not about money, it's about living all together, sharing community, and just being like charitable. And then this is where people get introduced to marijuana, psychedelics, mushrooms, LSD, and start expanding their mind, because it's not about performance or materialism. It's about the community doing good for others and being whole. And so what we kind of see at a meta level is the conservative right, the Republicans are in the orange stage of conscious development. And then the left side is liberal, is in the green stage of consciousness development. This can also kind of be divided by men and women tend to like go at the same time. Women tend to go left, men to go right. But it is typically for men, they go orange and then they knee jerk back to the liberal side. Now, the important part here is you have to learn this in order, and you have to have life experiences that make you feel that cause you to self-reflect, to mentally grow into that. If you don't have the firsthand experience, you don't learn the necessary skills to function in society. First, I needed to be in school at a blue stage and learn to listen to people. But then I needed to challenge that, be like, no, I think I can outperform these people. I think I can actually do things in the world. So then your ego kicks in, and you're like, I want to achieve. I want to be successful. I want to be respected. And so you do everything in your power. But then you realize that's not what it's all about. So then you have an internal like crisis around, for me, it was around like 24, 25, where you're like, this is not everything. But you need that desire to learn skills. You need to learn how to make money. I needed to learn how to make videos. I needed to learn how to market. I needed to learn how to communicate, work with people. I needed to gain experience. So then when I come back to this more like philanthropic, more charitable, it's not money over everything, we need to be fair to people, I don't overdo it, because there's people, which is really what's wrong with our country, that grew up in California from the day that they were 5 years old, and their parents that went through this themselves immediately teach them that it's about charity, it's not about how much money you make, billionaires are bad, do charity. So they have like this guilt complex because they're orange, they have that, and so then they teach their kids this immediately. So then these kids pick up this worldview and they never get a job. They're going couch to couch, they're homeless, they're doing drugs all day because they never went through this firsthand experience of learning the skills, becoming a productive member of society, then choosing to let it go. So that is like the main path in 98% of people. That's where they get by the age of 70 or 80. And that's where they die. That's where most of America is, and that's where most of the left side of America is. It's two different levels that these people will get to immediately as long as they take the time and have an introspective period of their life. Now, the 2% of the world are at the stage above that, which is yellow, and that's where you get you realize how much you can basically, as I'm sharing this, you could probably point back into your life when you were like 13, 14, where you were like deeply religious, you got scared if someone said nothing about religious, you didn't want to get scared, or you didn't want to get in trouble at work, whatever. And then you can point to your orange phase, which you're probably in right now, and a lot of people will be able to point to their green phase and see that reaction. That's what I mean by there's like a collective consciousness and a spiritual awakening. I think most of society in America is waking up out of the orange stage and becoming more centered. And the green side is also realizing that they were, I don't know, they're pretty weird over there, but basically they're too extreme. I think too many people were conditioned into the green side without truly experiencing and understanding why that's important. And so after that is yellow, which is only 2% of the entire population in the world. And that essentially you're obsessed with learning. You've realized that everything you thought before was given to you, and you don't know anything actually for yourself. So now everything is like experimenting firsthand and coming to conclusions for yourself and being open-minded to everything, but also not judging. Since you've been through all these firsthand, you don't look at the person who's at orange and wants the Ferrari and doing cocaine to get there and say, what are you doing, you idiot? Why are you doing that? You know that because you were at that stage. And so you have the humility now to forgive that person and understand exactly where they're at. Okay? Same with the green stage. This person's now giving away all their money. You're like, hey, don't give away all your money because it's going to lead to a bad path. I've been there firsthand. You can give them the guidance, but at the same time, you're not judging anybody since you've been there, and it's just a conscious evolution that everyone goes through. And so it's completely normal. And so these 2% are just obsessed with learning. The detriment is now they don't have the built-up momentum from the orange phase and the pure grind to make $20, $50 million. And they're so obsessed with learning and taking new information in that they become unproductive, but they're extremely wise, they're extremely humble, they're extremely like a source of positive energy to everyone around them. It's kind of the manipulation thing that we were saying, but in a positive light. That's essentially where you get to the point where you can really influence the people around you, you're fully aware of what's going on, but you're so interested in learning, and it's all about the inside. I could buy a Ferrari tomorrow, don't care, doesn't do anything for me, but you're infinitely curious about the universe, where you come from, and this is where true spirituality becomes evident for people. Like they want to go on the path towards enlightenment, and then obviously the next stage above that is like purple, and that's like mysticism. The universe is like acts in mysterious ways. It's all through energy, vibrations, frequencies, magic. But that's, so the reason you guys, that's actually, okay, I'm going to make a bold claim. That is actually how the world works. And that's why religion is taught at the lowest level, because it's actually keeping you, like, that's what Jesus was teaching. He was teaching this is how the world works. But it sounds silly to us because a lot of people who are really low, like maybe they're in the orange stage, they've memorized those things on the outside world, and they found a way to sell and make money from it. And so they're just saying these words like, pour 1 cup of water over here and manifest your future. And they're opportunists who are getting 1 million views on YouTube to make money. Where if you get deep into this and you've gone through it, you realize this is how the entire world operates. And it's not about like the conscious mind, it's all about your subconscious and letting it guide you through God.
For sure. There's definitely validity there, but dude, exactly. Like every fucking person in Miami, their line is, it's all about vibrations, frequency, and energy.
It's insane.
Yes.
And
that's why we're laughing.
Hey, that's why we're laughing.
So
We've heard that so many times.
Humans are mimicking creatures. It's how we learn. Like how you learn to talk is your mom is like food, and you're like, food. Like you're like copying them. And so everything we know is an idea given to us by another human. And so when you get to the yellow stage, it's about deleting all these beliefs that were given to you by people who didn't fully understand why they believed that, or they were giving it to you for their benefit, or you have all these false beliefs. So it's about deleting and reprogramming. So yellow is all about challenging everything. Because you're like, what the fuck? I made all the money, that didn't make me happy. I went spiritual and trying to be a good person, still had a lot of problems there. I know I don't want to work for someone or go to church every single day because that's not going to help me. What is the truth? And you're just like kind of like, it's like zigzagged, and yellow kind of lines all of them up and you meet in the middle again. And so that is like the core truth of how every single person's ego develops. Now this is where, if we want to go into the manipulation stage, the reason that this is like really beneficial for you if you're in the orange stage. So if you're in the orange stage, I'm going to speak to you right now. If you want to make a lot of money and you want to get every single girl you talk to and you want to be able to do anything you ever want, you want to go through this because then you know exactly how to speak to each person to get what you want from them. And so I have to say it like that to you guys, for you guys to get excited about this, because I know you're at orange. Where if I found a liberal person who was a hippie or whatever, I would say, this is going to give you all the time in the world that you can take psychedelics and truly find yourself. You just need to buy this course and listen to what I have to say, and that's how I speak to them. And so you see how powerful it is if I can talk to you, and if you tell me you guys are religious, you go to church every single day, you have a 9 to 5, you like going to your job, you can't wait to clock out and have a beer with your friends this weekend, I know exactly how to speak to you to get you to behave the way I want you to behave. Same thing, if you guys want to make a lot of money, you guys are on the grind, you're entrepreneurs, you're in Miami, all I have to say is, guys, we're gonna go out to Old Town tonight, I'm gonna get a table, there's gonna be 6 girls there, all the bottle girls know me, we're gonna have a great time, and if you come work for me, it's only gonna be $4,000 a month, but this is gonna be your life every single day, and I promise you, I'm gonna get you guys $30K a month. That is like what's really powerful about studying this, and that's like a psychology thing. And so, but again, once you get to that point, you're not an evil person. You have morals, ethics, and I would never do that, which is what I was saying. It gets weird when you get there because you're so aware of what's going on and you can see yourself in everybody.
100%. That'd be a great concept to be taught in sales.
Yo, 100%.
That's like actually revolutionary.
It's hard. It's good. It's good to study, but it's better to experience.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so it's all about like when people are saying meditation. Meditation just means know thyself, and so it just allocate. In our day and age, you have so much stimulation with the internet, TikTok, and everything. That's why people have anxiety, because they're taking in, even in 10 minutes, you're scrolling. One thing is like World War III is about to start. Iran just attacked Lebanon. Donald Trump just got assassinated. Kamala Harris is now the president. The girl that you went to high school with is marrying this other person. You have like 20 huge events that are happening, and your subconscious is freaking the fuck out. Like, do I need to run? Do I need, like what I was saying earlier, do I need to run? Do I need to marry my girlfriend right now? My mom's mad at me. What did I do wrong? And in 10 minutes, you got like 50 things your subconscious needs to actually go through. And your subconscious is essentially a computer. And your mind, your consciousness is like the commander of the computer. So like your mind Googles something, and then your body processes it and comes up with the answer. Like, where do ideas come from? Like when you're sitting there like, oh, I want to start my sales agency. How are we going to get more customers for our sales agency? You probably don't come up with it right then and there. But 2 days later, you're randomly walking, you have caffeine, you're at the gym, you feel really good. Boom. Amazing idea hits you. That's the exact answer you needed. It's because you programmed it in your mind, send it down to your computer. Your computer took 2 days to process and come up with it, and then all of a sudden, an idea popped in your head.
Every time.
So that's what frequency and manifestation or whatever, but that's also what God is. Like God in religious books is like, you pray.
Yeah.
Thank you, God. Thank you for all these meals. Thank you for everything you've done for me. Please, I need help. I'm trying to work on this. This is what I want.
Yeah.
Program the computer.
Right.
The subconscious. And then it comes back to you 2 days, and then they thank God, and then they continue this positive feedback loop of this system that's actually getting them in a positive momentum in life. And so it's not, in my opinion, it's not like some heaven and hell literal, you're gonna go live in this fantasy world forever or in this horrible place forever. It's if you don't listen to these, if you get addicted to drugs, you don't talk to God, you're not going to get anything you want out of life, and your life will be a literal hell. You'll be addicted to drugs, you'll be dependent, you can't function every day, whatever. So that's my opinion on it, but I would not also be surprised if I don't know exactly. So I would not say there is no God. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, 100%.
But it's teaching you these behaviors that will get you a positive outcome.
No, but it's really interesting. There was one level you were talking about where you're questioning everything you've been taught.
Mm-hmm.
So like me and him talk about it, we feel like in our life, as you continue to progress, you're just reprogramming your subconscious, which is like your past and everything you've been taught.
Right.
Because everything you've been taught is kind of from your family. Like you said, you learn to emulate people.
Mm-hmm.
And then for us, being in the orange state
Mm-hmm.
right now, it's like, okay, I'm listening to people that don't have results that I want. That's part of the reason why we moved, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's like, okay, everything around us is not, no, we're not learning from people that have results that we want. So we got to go around to other people that have that. What, for you, like what state are you at and how long did you stay at each one of those states?
Okay, so before I state this, I want to say that it's natural for your ego to want to say you're the highest state in the world or the highest stage. Like it would naturally, like it would sound cool. Well, I put blue down here, then orange over here, then green up here, then yellow up here. So I'm yellow. Like that's what your ego wants to say. And so I want to clarify that you're never fully in one. You always have pieces and then you kind of like progress. Like you might be 10% in yellow, approaching yellow, but 70% of your beliefs are still green. You still have those 30% lingering beliefs because you want to have sex with a few more girls before you like really like, you probably get to the point where you've had sex with like, every guy wants to have sex with girls. Like that's all, it's all a mating game at the start. Like you all just want to make money and have status so you can get girls.
For sure.
But there's a certain point, everyone goes through this, where you make the money, you have the status, and you finally have success with girls, whether it's 23 or 29 or 35. Then it's like I've done that. It's really not that fulfilling, okay? So you get past that, but there's still pieces like that. Like you might have got the money, you might have hurt people, you might have done all the drugs, and you were green, but you still didn't get the girls, so you still need to scratch that itch. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So you can be in multiple at the same time, but they're all like, it's like I view it like a rectangle moving up, and so you could be like 20% in orange, still in there, and then a little bit touching yellow. So it's progressing. So with that being said, I think that I am 100% at the stage where I am majority in the yellow, the 2% where all I care about is learning. And that's why I know that's the hardest part. Because I used to be orange where all I cared about was money. I would work 24/7 with full conviction and desire to like get these things. And now I catch myself reading forever. I catch myself on YouTube watching 6 hours worth of podcasts and content and having so much fun doing it. So that's the only reason I diagnosed that. And I want to make one thing clear. It is a huge privilege to even get to yellow in the first place, because that means that you had no childhood trauma. You've had your complete freedom. You've had everything provided for you your whole life. If you are in like Haiti and survival is the only thing that you could possibly think of, you don't know where your next meal is going to come from. Every day you're waking up just trying to make 50 cents to get rice or something. That's your entire existence. You will never even get to blue. There are stages below blue. I just started with blue because no one in America is really blue, but like there's like savages who are living in the jungle is the lowest. Yeah. And then it's like third world country who are just survival only. And then blue is like my basic survival needs are met, but I still need to function and do what I'm told if I want to make sure that stays constant. And so all I'm trying to say is that if you can even get to yellow, 2% of people get there in their life. And I am there at my early 20s. That is solely because I had amazing parents. I grew up upper middle class in the middle of Kansas, never moved houses once. My parents never fought. I always did well in school, so I was always left alone. So I just spent a lot of time as a kid talking to myself, not like out loud, but like thinking and like, I can do anything I want. What do I want to go do today? That sounded fun. Ooh, I went out and rode a bike. That wasn't very fun. Oh, I tried this food. That wasn't very good. I don't like that. And I had a lot of independent thought. And so that's like what I mean by it's a privilege to get that, because most people are traumatized as kids. Their parents are fighting. They get divorced. Bad things happen. They're in survival. And so their mind is running, looking outwards, not taking in and reflecting. And so it's what monks are trying to do. That's why monks don't have any, they basically try to live as frugal as possible so they don't have to worry about bills. They don't have to worry about girls and distractions. They don't have to take any information in. They're just sitting there living the most frugal, simple life possible so they can sit there and learn themselves and fast track this to hopefully get to enlightenment. Because what enlightenment is essentially, you've gone through all of this, and so now anytime you see anybody in any situation, you know exactly where they're at, why they're acting that way, what their goal is, and if they project something negative onto you, you immediately take it in, absorb it, smile, because like I've been there, and then exude love to the person. And you can physically do that with energy and like your body, where someone could walk around you, be having a horrible day, yell at you, and you could like look at them, give them some sort of body language, forgive them with eye contact, and then make them feel an entire different experience internally. So that's what like people are pursuing for enlightenment. And the only reason I'm explaining this is because it's not taught at all in the West. This is very common in Eastern philosophy. This is very common in Vedic philosophy in India. But in the left, especially since it's an entrepreneur style podcast, this is never spoken about. But it's very fascinating to me right now. So that's my last like year and a half of just consuming all the information in the world on this, articulated to you.
No, that's absolutely insane, man. And yeah, I think it's interesting because you said you can take someone's negative statement and make it something, you can smile and make it something positive. And that comes from like you have the knowledge of this information,
right,
which is why knowledge gives you that kind of freedom.
Right, if I go up to you and be like, you look like shit today, your initial reaction is like, well, fuck you. Like, who are you to say that? What the fuck? I didn't deserve that. And then you fight. Where an enlightened person would be like, this person is probably really stressed. They're probably working 80 hours a week trying to make $2 million. They probably did cocaine last night. They probably didn't sleep a lot last night. And I know exactly where they're at because I've been there and I forgive them. And it's honestly, like you feel like it's like you're just happy, you know. You feel, you don't feel bad for them, but you understand, and you can smile at them and be like, I understand. And you're not mad. You don't take it personally. Where most people are just manipulating each other and attacking each other, and they're getting defensive with each other, and they're just in this cycle. I feel very bad for people, but it takes a lot of inner work to get to that point.
100%.
Yeah, it's interesting too what you said, that it's a privilege, because I mean, like I feel like even like where we're at right now in the orange stage, like I can't. Okay, I'm 100% interested in learning and like actually doing all that stuff, but it's just not the priority to spend time reflecting and just being completely honest. No, and I could 100% see how like, I liked how you said you have to go through each stage.
It's impossible for me to see up. Like I can't see to the purple stage above that. Like I know I've watched the video, I read the study, and it's like mysticism, frequency, vibration. I'm like, that's like woo-woo shit. Like I don't get it. What are you talking about? But I'm just now at the point where I can look back and not get upset when someone projects onto me. You know, is that another bad part is when I'm a YouTube creator, I create content. Now I don't know what the fuck I believe, because I've gone through, like I was blindly confident in Orange. I was like, you need to make YouTube content, you need to make money, you need to do whatever it takes to make it to the top and make $20 million. And I'd go on the internet and say that. But now that I'm past this and in the yellow stage, I'm like, what do I even believe in? I don't have any strong opinions either way. All I know is I won't judge anything. And I'm so open-minded that I feel weird going on the internet and making a stance, because I can argue the nuances of both sides objectively without my identity tied to it. And so it just gets really weird, but you have to go through it and experience it to actually understand it. So you'll never be able to see up.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting too what you just said about the authority thing. I mean, about like taking a hard stance, because Andrew Tate came on the internet, just changed the entire game. Now we have to actually get views, to get attention, we have to take a very hard stance.
And I think,
and that's just not the correct way to look at anything.
And huge respect to him, because I think he got to this point he's well beyond yellow, way above me, way wiser than me, and you can sense that in him. Like he can argue any side of any argument, but I think he got to the point where he was so sure of himself and knew exactly who he was that he had the self-esteem to know that I'm going to play this character online. I'm going to become the most influential person in the world. The only way to become the most influential person on the world is to say out-of-pocket controversial shit and have fun with it. And knowing internally with the self-esteem and self-belief that that is not me, everyone in the world is going to judge me. Everyone's going to be on one side or the other, and I accept that. And he welcomed that attention and played that game at the highest level. So I think he's probably one of the most intelligent people on earth for that reason.
For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a different level of thinking, because most people are worried about what other people on the internet are going to say about them, where he was able to separate himself from that, detach, and play the game. That's why he has 37 cars, and it's just fucking hilarious. Like he's like, all right, people like cars, supercars. All right, I'm not going to buy one car. I'm going to buy 3 cars. I'm going to buy fucking Bugatti. Now I have 37. Like, it's just fucking funny, dude.
Multiple of the same car, too.
It doesn't care about the money. It's just a meme.
No
He's
sense.
literally doing it as a meme.
Yeah, 100%. That's crazy.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, obviously, you're like super interested in the psychology stuff. I mean, this sounds like this is like the majority of your life. So I mean, for people that are just starting out, if you recommended Influence to us, fucking amazing book.
The most fun book to read.
It's so interesting.
It's like a movie, dude.
Yeah,
like you're reading it and you're like, oh my God.
No, I know. And like he actually writes it like to the point, and there's so much information, but like I like how it's not like dragged on with a million examples. Every page is valuable. So I love that part about it. But okay, besides that book, what are some other ones that you'd recommend people start with?
I would just say get into marketing, because almost like obviously human incentives are everyone wants to make money.
Yeah.
So almost every single actual psychology study, the reason that it's funded is with the incentive of how are we going to use this against people. Like half of this is like casinos. Like casinos will make like full on stage casinos,
Right.
and they'll send psychologists in there and they'll just study the human behavior.
Yeah.
And so almost all of the 90% of the research of practical applied psychology was made through the context of marketing and how to sell. And so if you get into marketing and actually study marketing books, it's almost all psychology based, which is how I got my start. I first was making videos for 3 years, then that kind of transitioned into running ads and doing marketing funnels and VSLs and script, all of it. So I got into marketing, and that's where I found like my pure passion is actually psychology and messaging. And so first step would be just if you're interested in marketing, just start reading marketing. But like .com Secrets by Russell Brunson, not a psychology book, but it really lays out how you should feed people information and present an offer or present a product in a specific order. Like you don't just send people to like a store with 800 products and be like, have fun. It's like, no, you need to present this one product and explain all the benefits. And you need to speak it to this way, in this order. Does that really help you like modularize how you communicate? Then influence is like the book Influence by Robert Cialdini is what we're talking about. Or like the individual tactics, the little pieces that you can slot in at the right time. So this kind of gives you the template, and then Influence gives you like the ingredients. And then from there, it's just like I literally will watch. You can get like any of the psychology lectures from like UCLA, MIT, Harvard on YouTube for free. Like on my flight from New York, I watched 3.5 hours of UCLA social psychology lectures. And it's just fascinating. It's all these different, I could just talk about all the different psychology studies that have been done and all the different things I just absorb. But I don't know if there's like a specific book. Obviously, Robert Cialdini has another book, Yes, which is like 51 case studies of different psychology studies.
Oh shit.
It's like they like one, and it's just like 3 or 4 pages each, and it's just different studies of different like things of human behavior. Like one is like if you have a waitress, how do you maximize her tip? And it's like, okay, you just give them the bill and say thank you. Okay, the next one, you give them the bill and say thank you, and then you give them a mint inside. So you give them something like reciprocity. What about this? What if you take the bill, put a mint inside, take 2 steps away, and then pretend that you forgot and go, oh, and then give the second one to them by hand and look them in the eyes. And so they found like they tried all these little different things, and that was the one that got them like substantially. It was like 17% tip to like over 30. If you put a mint in there, gave it to them,
Insane.
let them open it, then intentionally forgetting one, then turning around and saying, oh, I only gave you 2. Here's a third, and looking them in the eyes. It's that reciprocity, and in that emotional state, when someone gives it to you and looks you in the eyes, you feel more like you want to help them back. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so there's 51 of those in one book, and they're all 4 or 5 pages, and it's just fascinating. One that we use for our ads for our development agency. So we have a software development agency, and we just scripted ads, and I immediately pulled one out of this book. So it's, back in the day, they would have like TV info, like events where basically you'd be like, we're doing a live marathon here, selling whatever, raising money for this or whatever. If you want to donate, call now. That's like the general thesis of what's happening. And so they wanted to test that call to action that would optimize people to call. They were really trying to test that one last call to action to get people to call. And so they tested multiple different sentences, but the gist is basically the first sentence was like, hey, if you guys want to donate, please call now. Just a very plain statement. But the one that actually worked was something along the lines of, if you call and all the lines are full, please hang up and call back again. And that subtle difference is implying that there is so much demand that they can't even handle how many calls are coming in. But if you say, hey, if you want to donate, we would appreciate it so much, please call now. That's coming from a point of weakness that like they're begging you. But if you literally have the context of, if you call and there's no one answering because there's so many people calling, please call back. That subtle difference in that one sentence tripled how much they raised. And so that's something that we use in our ads for our software development agency. At the very end, I'm like, if you try to book a call and there's none available, please check back in 24 hours. And that's how I end the ad.
Oh my, it's so smart, bro. Yeah, they're using social proof, they're using scarcity, all of that stuff.
They're doing that one fucking sentence. Like that's what I mean by like one word can mean 3 sentences worth of information.
Yeah.
Like if you have a really broad vocabulary, a big word can encapsulate so much information in one dense little word. And so that's same thing. That's like 3 psychology principles in one sentence, and it's so perfectly tied together at the end, and it's honest.
You guys should have paid for that.
That was gas.
That's amazing advice, brother. All right, cool, man.
It's my life's work, bro.
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.